Welcome to another episode of Chicas and Chai. We're so happy you're here. Make sure to follow us on all our platforms. We're on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts as Chicas and Chai. Follow us on Instagram at Chicas and Chai Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Chicas and Chai. You had a great episode with Tamara. I loved it. And I hope that our audience was able to relate to some of the things that she said. And kind of going into today's episode, I think it's so interesting how social media plays such a big part in our life. And I would say that lately, because of the climate of the world and our country, all eyes have been glued to a screen, right? Whether it's been social media or news outlets, it just plays such an integral part of our society.
I think so as well. And you mentioning social media outlets and everything that is happening in our country in general. This month, I have felt really just defeated to be transparent. And I think that I'll just put it in simple words. And that is that with the talks about women issues and misogyny in our country, in my opinion, it's been weaved into our culture for centuries. And I think right now it's very heightened. It's been a very emotional month for me, and I know for many, many other women. So just wanted to extend a hug, some love, and tell you that you are not alone in this feeling. It's hard being a woman. All these roller coaster emotions that we feel as women, pressures that come from society. And so I think it's very relevant, and what's happening in our country intersects with how we feel and the pressures that we feel and the expectations.
That hits home for so many of us. Not even just the news outlets, but social media, influencers, celebrities. They have really shaped the way that we see ourselves. Everywhere we turn, there's this picture perfect image of beauty that we feel pushed to live up to. But the truth is, I'm in the middle of unlearning all of that. I'm trying to let go of these impossible standards and embrace who I am, flawful and all. So let's talk about what it means to let go of that pressure and start setting our own standards. So here's me, no makeup on, face a little bloated from the sangria I indulged in last night, embracing my dark circles that motherhood has gifted me.
You said it perfectly, Summer. Just talking about how social media plays such a humongous part in the origin of these pressures that we feel and our own environments and how we grew up, because that also has a lot to do with the way that we feel about ourselves, about how we should look like. This is a really sensitive, delicate topic for Summer and I. We've had long conversations about this. So just talking about that emotional impact that these pressures have on us. I'm still in that journey of loving myself, mentally being there for myself. And I try to reject these societal pressures to look a certain way. And I think for me, that's where I'm at mentally. I'm a lot better. I've had my moments where I have felt defeated when it comes to battling these urges or noises, really putting myself down about the way that I may appear. And it comes from these societal pressures.
It's so sad that the same society that puts so much pressure on us to become a mom doesn't want moms to look like a mom. You know how many times I have contemplated getting a mommy makeover after I am done having kids because I just shouldn't have a little bit of a belly pouch and stretch marks, and I shouldn't have flabby arms, and my boobs shouldn't be sagging. And I'm just kind of getting over it because honestly, for me, it's so deeply rooted in my culture. Growing up in a South Asian community, it's almost expected that aunties or even people that I just met would feel free to comment on my weight or my appearance or whatever they thought needed fixing. It took such a toll on my self esteem. I grew up thinking it was normal because no one stood up for me. It's so normalized. As I get older, I'm realizing just how toxic and damaging those comments were and how the constant scrutiny planted seeds of insecurity and anxiety in me that no one deserves. And I've decided that that cycle ends with me. I won't pass that down to my kids. Your self worth is not tied with your appearance or the shape of your body. We are breaking this cycle one generation at a time.
Absolutely. I really love the way that you are ending it with you. I've been in conversations with you about this, the way you speak to your son. I think that there is a lot of power in ensuring that we are conscientious of the way that we sound in your case, to your son. In my case, I have nieces and nephews, and I am someone that will a lot of the times feel guilty after I eat. I tend to be like, oh, I just ate so much. Oh, I shouldn't have eaten that. It's gotten to the point where I need to stop myself from saying that or thinking that, because there is nothing wrong with eating and there's nothing wrong with comfort food. There's nothing wrong with, indulging a little bit more than usual. There's this narrative that women need to eat less than their partners. And that makes me feel so anxious when I am eating with my husband. Gotten so much better at it. And he even knows that I feel like this. So he's helped me through this. But it's this thought in your mind that you're not supposed to eat a lot as a woman because you're trying to avoid or reach this figure that we mentioned, right? It's in social media, these celebrities and influencers who are glamorizing one certain body type.
Yes, social media is so full of perfectly curated images that make us feel like we should be on all the time. The new moms, they look flawless. They're wearing designer clothes, makeup, getting back to themselves literally an hour afterward. That sends the message that real life, raw, unfiltered, and unpolished is somehow less valuable. But where does this leave the rest of us, right? Especially the younger generations who are just learning to define themselves. They're watching, they're absorbing all of these messages, and they may think that to have it all together means that they're good enough. And they're seeing these moments that are meant to be personal or even restful. They have to be styled and polished. We've begun to revolve everything around aesthetic. I feel like you and I even sometimes do that with our own social media and the podcast and how we were presenting ourselves. And sometimes we are just unpolished. Our hair is frizzy. I have dark circles. I don't feel like putting makeup on.
I think there's different elements to that. Here's what I'll say about this. Okay, I'm agreeing with you. I think there is no need to create this myth of you have it all together. Like no one has it all together. No one. And that goes for the mom that just gave birth and has like this perfect photo shoot. That goes for the young girl in her 20s that's traveling the world. There's no one out there that has it all together. And I'll say though, for me, I really do love a good picture. I love good aesthetics. And for me, it comes from a place where I love romanticizing my own life. So there's a difference between glamorizing it and romanticizing it. I love to enjoy the little moments and I'll take photo ops, but I want to be able to be open and talk about my struggles because I think it's so important for my nephew watching or my nieces watching. This needs to be clear that no one has it all together. And that is really toxic environment that we all live in. Even if you don't have social media, like you just go around the world thinking everyone has it all together. You spoke about the things that have occurred that me as someone that isn't a mom, I still deal with these things because I'm a woman. I bloat, I have dark circles. And there are so many things that as women, I don't think people realize that you with children, it maximizes it, right? Probably. But even without, it's still something that's in my mind. Oh my gosh, I look a certain way and I haven't even had a baby. Like, how dare I have a little extra on my stomach? But that's part of growing up. Like as women, our faces change, our body changes. It's normal.
I look at pictures of me. I have changed so much. And the interesting thing is that we're talking about social media, but these things for me started so early, like 9, 10 onwards is the first time I remember feeling really crappy about my body and my weight. Back then, it was from my community, people around me, friends and family friends, people were making me feel like shit about myself before social media even came around.
I think we both have our own fair share of situations that have probably traumatized us. It only takes one comment for it to stick in your mind. And I've had several people comment on my body. I remember being in middle school. So here's to the point of you don't even need social media to feel this way. This guy ended up making a list of how he would change the girls' attributes in order to make the perfect person. And he was like, yeah, for Liz, we'll just take her face. For this girl, we'll take her body. And I just remember that so vividly because it made me feel like crap. I was like, oh my God, the best thing about me is my face. Like, wow, he really shitted on all the other parts of me. And so, yeah, it was really hurtful. And I don't think I've ever talked about it. That sticks with you. And it's hard to not think about that sometimes. I'm a lot better in the journey, but I think, like I said, we both have just had so many things that people have said about our bodies. And it's so hurtful. It's just a message to everyone out there. Be careful what you say to people about people, because it can be a very hurtful thing that really destroys their self-esteem, especially at such a young age.
Said something about not being able to eat as much as your spouse or feeling guilty. And I remember I was about maybe 12 years old, and someone really close to me in my family one time when I was eating was like, "Oh my gosh, like girl, you're eating so much." That really messed with me. And whenever I'm around that person till this day, I'm always watching what's in my plate. Even though I have been on this whole healing journey, I still revert back to being that sad little 12-year-old girl whenever I'm around that person, no matter how hard I try to erase that memory. And it just kind of sucks. But also, say I have a heavier lower set. And so people used to make fun of me. These guys in school would talk shit about me or about how I was overweight. And then all of a sudden, Kim Kardashian got famous and she became this pinnacle of beauty. And the same people that used to call me fat or say I have a big butt and make fun of it or my hips were the same ones calling me, "Oh, damn, she's big. She's so cute." This woman all of a sudden changed the standard. I went from being someone made fun of to then being very desirable. Even when I went to India, a lot of people that I had just met in my neighborhood and family friends, they would be like, "Oh, they're right. There's a lot of obesity in America." And then when I came back to India around that time where the Kardashians were popping, I was getting the same comments then where I was all of a sudden desirable. So I got to experience that where it wasn't just an American society thing. The same thing was happening to me in another country. And it just set this unattainable standard because now they determined at that time whether I was thick and desirable or when they hop back on the skinny girl wagon, then I have to adjust myself again. And I'm like, I am so over that. And I don't know if you remember, but you're actually the person that got me into wearing sleeveless. I had such a strong resentment for my body and my arms. I never wanted to show them because they are flabbier. And no matter how much I work out, no matter what I do, I still had those bat wings and I always wanted to keep them covered. But you gave me that confidence. Start wearing sleeveless shirt. It'll be summertime and you're like, "Why are you always covered?" And it wasn't because I was modest. It was because I hated my body.
Oh, summer. I know we talked about that when you were a lot younger. And now I see you rocking your sleeveless shirts and your shorts, and you're so beautiful. With the Kim Kardashian, just to make it clear, and I think we both think the same, that family is one of the main families that has created such a toxic body image narrative for women. These expectations that everyone has to look like them, because they all have different body types. So you just have to make sure you look like one of them and you're golden. That's basically how this world is kind of going towards. And, everyone's trying to aim for that. And I think that's ridiculous. I've had struggles like you. I think for me, it came from society, from being in a Latin culture. It's just one of those things that whatever you say gets back to that person somehow. And even if it doesn't, like, it's not your right to say anything. I've struggled with this for a long time. And I think I've gotten to the point where I'm really loving my body. Yes, I'm not 100% there, but I am really embracing who I am. I'm trying to do the work, eating healthy, but I also love food. And so I'm not going to tell myself, no, you can't have this. I believe in moderation. Truly, I will never tell myself I can't have sweets because I have a sweet tooth. But I remember being in college and how I was hanging out with a group of girls that had very unhealthy eating habits and disorders. And I didn't really realize what was happening in that moment, but I caught myself taking laxatives and it was borderline disorder. And I only say that because the reason I took them wasn't anything but to lose weight, because they told me, "Hey, this is what we do. You just take them in a very unhealthy type of routine and it'll help," and whatever. Now we know laxatives actually don't help you lose weight. Don't recommend them. That was a horrible idea. I did it for like a month and it really even made me feel worse, because you really catch yourself and you're like, wow, did I really just do that? Like, really? I need to thank my mom for instilling in me that I don't have to change the way that I look. And when I stopped myself back then from taking laxatives, I hear one person in my head, and that's my mom. My mom has always been just the best at making sure that I feel beautiful. She's always called me beautiful. She'll always be like, you eat whatever. And it's not an unhealthy way. It's more, no te complejes. And in Spanish, it's don't overthink things about yourself. Don't be in your head about these things. And so she's always been there for me in that aspect. And I've heard the saying that, you've raised good children, it's because they think of you when they're about to make bad decisions. So I always think of my mom. Whenever I have any inkling of taking a vitamin that helps you lose weight, I've been in a bathroom with girls in Nova where they were all throwing up and they were like, hey, you want to do it? And I said, no, keeping in mind, these were very slimmer girls. And so I think it would have been easy for me to have just done it. Nobody else was looking. They were all doing it. But I thought of my mom. And so I think that with you, Summer, you making sure that you create this environment for your son, I think that's just so powerful. And one day he will think of you.
It made me really emotional. I love that for you. When you have such a negative image of yourself and of your body, it gives you self-esteem issues that really seep into other aspects of your life. The relationships that you get into, the way you talk to yourself, the way you perceive yourself, and it really impacts your mental health. And, unfortunately, I'm not going to lie, I've done it all. Laxatives, making myself throw up after eating meals that I feel like I shouldn't have had, diets, going 2 days without food sometime and just water because we're going to a wedding or a dress that I want to wear is too sexy for my current body. So yeah, I've done it all and I regret it. And I hope that my child never feels the need to go do things like that. I know how much it messed with me. You kind of sit there and go, wow, I can't believe I did that to myself. Realize that I was self-sabotaging and basically punishing my body for being the way that it is. And that's problematic. Once we start taking care of our body because of how we feel and look outwardly and not inward, it sets a really bad tone in your own mind and messes up the future generation.
That's such a good point. And I think that's where I think about why I'm doing something. If I am trying to drink a lot of protein, I'm not like, oh, it's because I just want to look a certain way. No, I want to just make sure I give my body enough amount of protein because I don't need a lot of meat. And so I think that is such a good message that I hope everyone just takes is think about what is the reason for it? And I think for me and you, our husbands have been good support systems for us. I think for my journey right now in the present moment, that he's been a very good ally. He understands in his own way. I think men deal with their own body image issues. Like, let's not lie. There's a lot there that men aren't able to talk about and disclose because, have you ever heard of a man just telling you, hey, I feel really self-conscious about my body right now, other than probably your husband? No, because it's not something that is culturally acceptable. And so I think that for me, my husband, we try to be good support systems for each other. And I think that it's really important to find someone like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I have finally reached a place where I don't rely on external validation to feel good about how I look, but I'm not going to lie, right? Society's expectation, noise, the opinions and comments, they still sometimes creep into me. And I catch myself sliding into old habits for a quick fix, whether it's like taking a pill or going to go get some B12 shots because that's supposed to help me lose weight. But, the past 4 years of my life have been such a journey from marriage to pregnancy to postpartum. My body has transformed more than it ever has in my entire life in such a short span. And I've also changed so much mentally and as a person. So while I'm still learning to accept every stage and kind of get to a healthier place, I still do need a little reassurance. And when I do, I turn to my husband. He's been my rock and he embraces me at every stage and he sees me in ways that I don't always see myself. And his love and support have been incredible. It's made it so much easier for me to shut out other people's opinions. And it reminds me, like you said, the importance of having that kind of unconditional support and having a life partner that can be on this healing journey with you and be my biggest advocate.
It's hard to believe that no one has body image issues. So maybe, talking about these things with our spouses has only opened up a conversation that we all want to have with someone. And I think it's really important to be able to have someone to have these conversations with. For me, it's been healing. And I think you need to find someone that thinks alike and that is able to really differentiate. These are societal expectations. That's not real.
Yeah, it's really important to remind ourselves and each other that these standards aren't real life. Influencers and celebrities often have entire teams helping them look flawless. Like they have makeup artists, hairstylists, photographers, make sure everything looks just right for their posts. What we see on social media is genuinely a product of a lot of planning, editing, careful image curation. It's PR for them. Real life is messy. It's early morning hair, messy clothes, tired eyes. And there is so much beauty in authenticity. When we're honest, we give ourselves permission to be real. It takes the pressure off of us. That's a gift that we can pass on to our younger generation as well. We need to stop feeding into this narrative that every moment of our life, we have to be camera ready. We should really embrace self care for what it really is and taking time to feel good on the inside rather than, trying to be perfect on the outside because there's strength in being vulnerable and showing up just as we are, which is, I feel like, something that you and I have been doing and working on. That's the kind of beauty that's worth sharing.
Yeah. And I love your no makeup look. So I kind of wanted to wear my glasses. And what's funny is that I love myself with glasses, but because some people have a certain way at looking at people with glasses, I kind of shy away from wearing them. But I think this is just redefining this confidence and what we strive to look like because it comes from inward. I think that's the goal. Really thinking about the way that you want to look for your own reasons, not because of society. You become vulnerable, but it also comes with confidence. You end up realizing that, wow, I'm really taking ownership of the way that I envision beauty. And it doesn't mean it looks like what it does on magazines or what people on the internet think. It's what do you think about how beauty looks like to you? And this can be ever changing. It doesn't need to look like what you thought 5 years ago. That comes with a lot of courage, but this is the society we live in. It's constantly rejecting what we learned and just trying to pivot and realizing, okay, what do I want now?
Yeah. And a lot of girls, they get up, they put their makeup on every day, they do their hair, and I applaud them. I admire that. Like putting on your makeup and taking off your makeup is a lot of effort. A lot of moms look very put together. I feel like growing up, I've had this pressure. I've had people in my family tell me, like, oh, don't you want to do your hair nicely? You look like a mess. Like, you should go put some makeup on. And I'm like, wow, I feel good about myself. I spend so much time, energy, and money into my skincare because to me, that's beauty. To me, that's what I feel good about. I spend less time, energy in putting my makeup on because it's just how I am. I'm not shitting on people that put a lot of makeup on. I think makeup is a beautiful form of art and expression, and some people kill it. I'm also just not the best at it. So I don't like to invest the time in it. And I don't even have the time right now to invest in it. Like if my husband and I go out on a date night, I'd rather just quickly throw on some clothes and spend that time with him than spend that time getting ready, trying to look glamorous.
I come from it from a different angle. Like I hear you 100%. I understand where you're coming from. I thoroughly enjoy getting ready. I'll put music on. I'll romanticize the moment. I'm not even kidding. Usually I try to allocate a little bit of time. I do like making that part of my routine. And I think it comes from the self-care and self-love journey that I'm in, being able to have this extra time because it's me, my husband, and Osito. And so there's a little wiggle room there. I have time to, get ready and feel fancy. And for me, that's where it comes from. It's just, I work from home. So I usually don't have a need to change, put any makeup on. So when I do go out, it's a nice change for myself. It makes me feel extra fancy. So I think there are two ways to look at that and neither are wrong. The main message here is it's just ensuring that whatever you're doing it for your own happiness, not because others are wanting it from you or for you.
I also love to romanticize the whole getting ready, but not all the time. I'm not the girl that's going to go to Target with makeup on, but I also won't go to fancy dinners looking like a bum with my husband, I assure you. But yeah, it's just kind of like you said, figuring out it is the oldest, golden, and most overlooked saying that I think I really started understanding as I get older. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And I think that's something that we need to revert back to rather than beauty is in the eye of the filter.
That's so funny. That's true. But for me, like I said, it's just really enjoying the moment. Every part of life is very fun. I recently started a TikTok and I think that'll be fun for me because I really do love capturing pictures. I don't really have a physical album. So for me, it's the moments of whatever I took a picture of. That's my album and it's usually on my phone.
You're really good at capturing the moment and videos and making it look so good. I guess romanticizing it because you and I will go to the same place. Now look at my picture and yours. And I'm like, what did I miss? She made it look so much better.
I don't know. I think I do see things in certain situations that I think are beautiful. And it's usually a small thing, right? If I take a picture of something and we're out and about, it's usually like a little corner with a beautiful pot of flowers or a glass of wines, something cute like that. I really do enjoy the little things. And that's part of me rejecting the narrative of society telling you like, this is what's important. This is how you should look like. And this is the things that you should have in order to have it all together. I like to really look inward and be like, how do I enjoy looking? How do I enjoy my time? And what do I enjoy taking pictures of? Part of the journey of introspection and then pivoting from there and seeing what you like.
That's interesting that you said that because I was just about to ask you actually, when did you realize that it was time for some introspection and that you were conforming to maybe societal standards of beauty or that it had impacted you and what prompted?
There are different moments. It's something that comes and goes. And for me, it's been over the past 10 years in college when I was hanging out with those girls. And then again, when I was getting married and I was trying to fit into this perfect dress. And so those are the moments that I've tested. Okay, am I going to go with this or am I not? And I will say that when I choose to put makeup, I will always ask myself, is this coming from a place of assimilating or is this coming because you actually enjoy putting makeup on and you just want to do it for yourself? That's a really big one for me when it comes with makeup. I think my relationship with makeup is overall healthy. I wear it because I like it. I grew up not wearing it too much because my mom wouldn't let me until I was like in high school. And then I suddenly did. And I think in high school, I did overindulge because I went from not putting it on to I was putting a lot on or just trying different things. And so once I got to college and I think I met you, really didn't wear a lot of makeup. If you look back at our pictures, like I barely have any makeup on and there's nothing wrong with that. But now I love wearing makeup when I wear it. There's like different charms to makeup. Okay. There is the natural look, the no makeup look. And I do love those because they're more natural. And I think that's the style I like.
Yeah, same for me. But I think that makeup has also become a form of expression and you really feel like an artist in that moment. You know, you're crafting something. And so I think makeup does have its beauty to it too. And not to get sidetracked, it's not really about makeup. I think makeup just kind of falls into the category of the pressures that we're talking about. I think that makeup, getting your hair done, getting your nails done, those are all two things. They're a form of self-care and they have also become a form of societal pressure. A lot of people don't want to do those things. A lot of people don't conform to it. And that's fine. I think we're all in this era of figuring out what works for us and rejecting these norms that are actually abnormal. You know, like I said, with the Kardashians, they came along, made my body type very desirable. It didn't help with my journey. I think 16-year-old me was more confused as time went on. At 30, I have more of a sense of identity because we grew up in a very confusing era. We kind of had our teens and early adulthood at a time where social media, the Kardashians, popular culture, everything was on a rise. Even music videos around our time, I would say Indian, American, Hispanic music videos, none of those girls in those videos look like me. There was a lack of representation. I think we're moving towards a better era now where we are embracing our bodies. I love this new wave that we're going to.
And being able to think about where your pressure of beauty comes from is so important. I think that's the foundation of it. And realizing how that impacts you emotionally or mentally, that for me was big, right? Why was I feeling a certain way to look this way? Where did that come from? And the way it made me feel, I think empowered me to make this change of not trying to reach this myth of having it all together. I think is so toxic. We all have our personal experiences when it comes to this. And we all have our stories. And I just want to reiterate how important it is for us to not comment on someone's body. And even something that you think is positive can actually be a backhand compliment. When someone compliments me and says, "Oh, you look like you're slimmed down or you're skinnier," I feel, wow. So what are you trying to say? How was I before? It just comes across really hurtful for me. And I know hurtful for you, Summer. We've talked about this. So just be mindful of commenting on anyone's body, period, whether you think it's positive or negative, and just owning that confidence of knowing what you want and how you want to look like for you. I think that's so important. And I hope that everyone has taken something out of this conversation. It's been an emotional one, but we really appreciate you all hopping on and listening to us. See you next time.
Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our channel on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and any other platform you listen to podcasts on. As Chicas and Chai, follow us for more content on Instagram at Chicas and Chai Podcasts.